I fell in love with a woman I was never supposed to see again. I didn't believe in soulmates. Not because I was bitter, just because life had trained me not to expect miracles. People came, people left, and every time you thought this one is different, reality quietly corrected you. That night, I wasn't looking for anything. I was just trying to get home. The last train was nearly empty, the kind of quiet that feels heavier than noise. The city outside the windows blurred into streaks of light, rain tapping softly against the glass like it was trying to tell me something I wasn't listening to. I sat down, pulled out my phone, and prepared to disappear for the next 30 minutes. Then she sat next to me. No dramatic entrance, no eye contact at first. Just the soft sound of fabric against the seat and the faint scent of something warm, vanilla, maybe. A few seconds passed. Then she spoke. "Promise me something," she said, still staring straight ahead. I turned, confused. "Sorry?" She finally looked at me. Her eyes were calm, not shy, not bold. Just honest. "Promise you won't ask for my name." I should have laughed, or ignored her, or moved to another seat. Instead, I said, "Okay." She smiled, not relieved, not playful, like she'd expected that answer. "My stop is in 20 minutes, she said. "So we have exactly that long to talk." About what? Anything that matters. There was something unsettling about how certain she sounded, like this conversation had already happened somewhere else. So I asked the first thing that came to mind. "Why no names?" She looked back out the window. "Because names make people stay," she said. "And I can't." That should have been the moment I shut down emotionally. Instead, it was the moment I leaned in. We talked about childhood dreams we never chased, about the versions of ourselves we almost became, about mistakes that still showed up in quiet moments, long after we pretended we were over them. She told me she used to want to be a photographer. I told her I once planned to leave the city and never look back. "Why didn't you?" she asked. I shrugged. Life got loud. She nodded. "It always does." Minutes passed faster than they should have. At one point, she laughed, not loudly, but genuinely, and I felt something shift in my chest, like a door opening that had been locked for years. I hated that feeling, because I already knew this was temporary. 10 minutes in, she said, "I'm leaving the country tomorrow morning." Just like that. No pause. No build-up. I tried to hide my reaction, but she noticed. "That's why no name," she said gently. "No number. No promises." "Forever?" I asked. She hesitated, just for half a second. "Yes." I swallowed. "I don't believe in soulmates," I said, trying to sound detached. She smiled again. This time, sad. "Then don't fall in love in the next 10 minutes. The train slowed as it approached her stop. The silence between us grew heavier, filling the space with everything neither of us wanted to say. When the doors opened, she stood. For a moment, I thought she might change her mind. She didn't. Instead, she leaned in and whispered, "If we ever meet again, you'll know it's real." Then she stepped off the train. The doors closed, and just like that, she was gone. I sat there long after my stop passed, staring at my reflection in the dark window, feeling stupid for caring, and empty for pretending I didn't. I told myself it was nothing. Just a stranger, just a conversation, just a moment that would fade. But moments like that don't fade. They haunt. That night, I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her sitting there, calm, certain, already halfway gone before I even realized I wanted her to stay. Days passed, then weeks. Life resumed its rhythm. Work, friends, noise. But every now and then, in quiet places, on trains, in cafes, in the space just before sleep, she came back to me. No name, no face in photos, just a feeling. I convinced myself I'd imagined the connection. Until 3 years later, when my phone rang. 3 years is enough time to convince yourself something never mattered. Long enough to build routines. Long enough to meet new people. Long enough to stop checking trains for familiar faces. I changed cities. I took a better job. I learned how to be fine. Or at least, convincing. There were moments I almost forgot her. Almost. Then I'd hear a laugh on public transport. Or smell vanilla in a crowd. And for half a second, my chest would tighten like it used to. But life doesn't pause for ghosts. I dated. Nothing serious. Nothing that stayed. Every time someone asked what I was looking for, I gave the safest answer possible. Nothing complicated. The truth was simpler and more dangerous. I was comparing everyone to a woman whose name I never knew. It was a Tuesday when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. I was in the middle of answering emails, half focused, already annoyed. I let it ring twice, 3 times, then answered without thinking. Hello? Silence. Just breathing. I pulled the phone away, checking if the call had connected. Then I heard it. Is this the man from the train? My heart didn't race. It dropped, straight into my stomach, like gravity had suddenly remembered me. My voice cracked. I cleared my throat. Yes. Another pause. Longer this time. I wasn't sure, she said softly. You sound different. So do you, I replied, even though she didn't. Her voice was exactly the same. Calm, certain, familiar in a way that felt illegal after 3 years. I stood up from my desk without realizing it, walking toward the window like my body needed space to process this. How did you get my number? I asked. She laughed quietly. I didn't, she said. I dialed it wrong. That should have been funny. It wasn't. You believe me, right? She added. I did. For some reason, I always had. We talked for 20 minutes. Not about what happened. Not about why she called. About everything else. Where she was living now. What she was doing. How strange it felt to hear a voice you thought belonged to a memory. Finally, I asked the question I'd been holding since the train doors closed 3 years ago. Why did you leave like that? She didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was lower. Because staying would have destroyed something, she said. In you or in me? I asked. Yes. I closed my eyes. Are you back? I asked quietly. Another pause. No, she said. I'm passing through. Of course she was. We met the next evening. Same city. Different lives. I arrived early. Sat at a small cafe near the station. Not the same one, but close enough to feel symbolic. When she walked in, I knew instantly. Some people don't change, or maybe they change everywhere except where it matters. She looked older, not tired, deeper, like life had added layers instead of taking anything away. She saw me and stopped. Just like before. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she smiled, and I realized something terrifying. I hadn't missed the idea of her. I had missed her. Still don't believe in soulmates? She asked as she sat down. I laughed. Still don't give out your name? She tilted her head. Some habits keep us alive. We ordered coffee. Black for me. Caramel latte for her. I noticed. She noticed me noticing. Don't, she said, smiling. You told me it tastes like regret, I said. She shrugged. I was wrong. We talked until the cafe lights dimmed and chairs started stacking. But some questions refused to stay quiet. What happens after this? I asked. She looked down at her cup. That depends, she said carefully, on whether you want the truth or a happy ending. I didn't like that those sounded mutually exclusive. I want both, I said. She finally looked at me. You can't, she said. Not with me. Outside, the air was cold. We stood under the streetlight, close enough to feel warmth, far enough to avoid touching. I didn't call to hurt you, she said. I just needed to know something. What? If you remembered me, she said. I laughed, a little too sharply. I never forgot you. She exhaled like she'd been holding that breath for 3 years. Then I need to tell you why I left, she said. But not tonight. I frowned. Why not? Because once you know, she said quietly, you won't look at me the same. She stepped back. I'm leaving again tomorrow. Of course she was. Meet me here in the morning, she said. If you still want the truth. And if I don't show up? I asked. She smiled sadly. Then this stays perfect. She turned and walked away before I could stop her. That night, I didn't sleep. Not because I was afraid of the truth, but because I already knew. I was going to show up. The morning was cold and painfully clear, the kind that doesn't let you hide behind weather. I arrived early. Again. The cafe wasn't open yet. The dark glass reflected an empty street and my own face, tense, exhausted, and more alive than I had felt in years. I didn't know if she would come, but I knew that if I didn't, this moment would haunt me forever. When she appeared at the end of the street, I felt it before I saw her. Some people don't enter your life, they return you to it. She walked slowly, as if giving me time to change my mind. You came, she said. You knew I would, I replied. She smiled softly. I hoped. We sat at the same table as the night before. She didn't order coffee. I have to be at the airport in 2 hours, she said. So I'll say everything now. I nodded. She took a deep breath. 3 years ago, she began, I wasn't just leaving. I stayed silent. I was running. My fingers tightened around the cup. From who? I asked. From myself, she said. And from the life I was living. She told me everything. About the man she was engaged to. About a future built on other people's expectations. About the plane ticket she bought the night before that train ride. I met you, she said, looking straight at me, and for the first time in years, I realized that if I stayed, I would destroy everything. What exactly? I asked. The lie, she said. I was living in. That's when I understood why she never wanted me to know her name. A name makes someone real. And she didn't know who she was yet. Why did you call me now? I asked. She looked down. Because I finally became myself, she said. And because leaving a second time felt more terrifying than the first. I let out a short breath. You're still leaving? Yes, she said. But I'm not running anymore. She looked at me like it might be the last time. If you ask me to stay, she said, I will. The words hung between us, heavy and dangerous. But, she continued, if you do, you need to understand something. I can't promise an easy life. I can't promise forever. I can promise only honesty. I thought about all the safe choices I had made. About people who never hurt me, because they never reached me. About a life where nothing ever burned. And if I say nothing? I asked. She nodded. Then we keep this as a moment that was almost everything. I looked at her, at the woman who had crossed my life twice, and changed its direction both times. What's your name? I asked. Her eyes filled with tears. Are you sure? She whispered. Yes. She said it quietly, and the world didn't fall apart. It aligned. We walked out of the cafe together. A taxi waited at the curb. She stopped, not moving. I could let her go. Again. And live with a perfect version of love, the kind that's never tested. Or, I took her hand. Stay, I said, just for today. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, she was smiling through tears. You just ruined my plan, she said. Then maybe for the first time, I replied, you'll build your own. She turned around and canceled the ride. We didn't promise forever. We chose each other. Every day. And sometimes, late at night on a train, she squeezes my hand and whispers. Can you imagine if you'd asked my name back then? I smile. Then, I say, we might have never learned what fate really means.